focus stacking and focus bracketing are features that will probably primarily be used within macro photography, but they are also very useful for shooting landscapes. Hi, I'm David, and today I'd like to introduce you to two amazing features that are available in both the OM5 and the OM1 cameras. And those features are focus stacking and focus bracketing. Ultimately, the goal when using them is to achieve more depth of field in each image than you would be able to do in a single shot, even if you were to stop down your aperture. And this way, you won't risk any disruption to the quality of the image. So first we need to look at what the difference between these two features are. Well, with focus stacking, the camera is going to take a small series of images, up to 8 with an OM5 or up to 15 with an OM1. And it's then going to composite them all together to give you one final JPEG with a greater depth of field, all in camera. Then focus bracketing will be able to take up to 999 images across different focal planes throughout the depth of your subject. Now the user will need to put them into their preferred post-editing software to stack them together for that final image. Now the reason why you might possibly choose bracketing over in-camera focus stacking is that you'll simply need more images, and that generally comes down to working with something super close up or a very tiny subject that requires many more images than the focus stacking in-camera 15 can provide. Things such as slime molds, tiny fungi, and almost microscopic subjects, and you can sometimes be using hundreds and hundreds of images. That's when you'll use focus bracketing. So now we know what they are and the differences between the two features, let's take a look at how to set them up both on an OM5 and on an OM1. So here on the OM5, we'll press the menu key and then we'll go down to camera menu number 2. We'll go across, down to bracketing and press right again, and then down to on and press right one more time. You can now scroll down to focus BKT, press right and down to on, and then press right one more time, and we're in the settings menu. Here we can switch focus stacking on or off, and we can set the number of shots that focus stacking will take, anywhere between 3 and 8 on the OM5 model. We can then set the focus differential, or the gaps between the areas at which the camera focuses, either wide or narrow. And we can also set the flash charge time, which is unnecessary if you have an Olympus or OM system flash, but may be necessary on third-party flashes to allow the flash to recycle between shots. Now we're going to press the menu to go back a page and press OK on, and then menu to go back another page and press OK again so that bracketing is now active. Now if we want to set focus bracketing rather than focus stacking, we're going to go back into the same menu, scroll down to focus BKT, go into the menu once more and turn focus stacking off. Then our set number of shots is available to us up to 999. The focus differential rules remain the same, but I do recommend if you have more images in your set number of shots, you go to a narrower differential. And of course, the flash charge time rules also apply. With an Olympus or OM system flash, it's unnecessary to use, but with a third-party flash, you may need to set that. Then press menu until you return to your live view, and you'll see an icon on the top of the screen that says BKT, indicating that your next series of shots will be a bracket, whether that's focus stacking or focus bracketing. Now the OM1 models feature a redesigned user interface, so it's a little bit different, but the principles and the reasons for setting each of these options are the same. So let's take a look at those on an OM1. Press the menu key and scroll to the Camera 2 tab and page 1. Scroll down to focus stacking and press OK. Once you're in there, you can switch focus stacking on or off. You can then apply the set number of shots, in this case anywhere between 3 and 15. You'll also be able to set the focus differential. That's the spacing between each focus point that the camera will make. A wider differential means larger gaps between where the camera focuses, and a narrower differential means smaller gaps between where it focuses. And lastly, you can set the charge flash time, which you won't need to do with an Olympus or OM system flash, but you may need to with a third-party flash to allow for the recycle time. Now, unlike the OM5, focus bracketing is in a separate area of the menu, still in camera 2, but in page 3 under focus BKT, where you can also switch it on or off. And then you can set the number of shots now anywhere between 2 and 999. You should set a reasonable amount for the depth of your subject. The focus differential works in exactly the same way, and I recommend using a narrower differential for more shots. And again, the flash charge time unnecessary with an Olympus or OM system flash, but may be needed with an independent flash for the recycle time. So once we've set these features up exactly how we need them, we're ready to go. But it's important to note a couple of things that are involved when using focus stacking or focus bracketing. If you decide to use flash with either of these modes, on the OM5 your fastest shutter speed will be 1/50th of a second. And again, using flash on the OM1, it'll be slightly faster at 1/100th of a second. Now, of course, we don't need to worry about those restrictions on shutter speeds if we're not using a flash. The next thing to remember is lens compatibility. Now, if you're using bracketing, then you can use any electrical contact lens and you'll have no problems. But if you're using focus stacking in camera, you'll be limited to a small list of Olympus or OM system lenses, and I'll list those at the end of the video for you. And now finally, we have two methods of choosing an initial focusing point. If we first think about the focus stacking in camera mode, we need to look at focusing initially around 40 to 50% into the depth of our chosen subject. Or of course, if you're shooting something alive like an insect, you would start the focus on the insect's eyes. Here, the camera takes an initial shot before taking images closer and further away. This is done in order to reference the image, as a 7% crop will appear on your final stacked JPEG. Now, the initial focusing rule with bracketing is much simpler. We would just find the closest point that we want to be in focus, and then the camera will take images from that point towards infinity until either it runs out of the prescribed number of images that you've asked for, or it actually hits the infinity point. Now, with all that whirlwind information, my final piece of advice is practice, practice, and practice some more. I'm going to leave you with that list of compatible lenses for in-camera focus stacking, and then some great images from some of our ambassadors. Thanks very much for watching.